Greetings to Grendel.
No, yes! Woo.
Kuva näkyy.
So, while Wendy is away, our next feature will be Kasettilamerit or tape labels or cassette labels or whatever in English. And we are going to talking about some important things, that what we do and why, and other questions. Toimiks Tommi sun mikki?
Toimii.
You know, yes.
It works.
I'm Drew and he is
0x.
Yeah! And we are the Kasettilamerit. So the topic is bring your media to us, and we'll talk about this subject, and let's see where this leads us. I don't know yet. We prepared some text, so you can read it if you want. I hope you read it, but we didn't work for nothing. So, who we are? Some history. Kasettilamerit group started in 2011 from the C64 tuber tapes, which I had, if I remember correctly, I had something like 2 plastic bags full of tapes at my home, and I wanted to get rid of those, but since they were filled with data, so I thought I want to dump these tapes before I got rid of them, and I asked TNT of Björnfors to code program to dump those, and he said yes, and then we went to the local clubhouse and started to dump those, and it was fun, and we continued on. And these days we have 15 members doing the data archiving, and we started even what is it in English? Association. Kasettilamerit Association in July 2019 to make our things easier for us. And many of us are from demoscene and other technical enthusiastic people who love to tinker with the hardware and such things. And since we have been doing this quite long, I'd like to say that we are quite good at what we do, so let's continue to the next slide. And what do? We dump and preserve various kind of magnetic and other analog media, and it contains, of course, discs, different sizes. We have done 8-inch discs.
8-inch, 3-inch, 3.5, pretty much anything that's the standard.
And the problem is that when you want to dump 3-inch disc, how many of you have a 3-inch disc drive? So it's a kind of difficult to get all the hardware to do the job, and it costs money, and it comes from our pockets. So this is a kind of expensive hobby to do for nothing. I mean, we don't take usually money to dump those things, so it's for the love to this thing. Also, we have done audio from strange magnetic tape wheels and such things, video, film. I have been scanning film negatives, slides and such. And we do documentation about obscure and unknown data formats. And unfortunately, we have to code a lot to decipher those strange formats and make our own tools to actually see what we have done. Do you have probably anything more on this?
Yeah, because we have standard tools to decode any normal floppy formats, for example, but there are many obscure systems that use all kinds of weird trickery or no file systems at all, and this requires analyzing the raw disk data, for example, and tapes from, for example, mainframes.
So we have lots of things what we have done, some difficult, some easy, but it's kind of interesting. And why we do this? It's a good question. And for my motivation is for demoscene things that our own history in the 80s is kind of dying. There's no new blood on the demoscene so much anymore. And what is the sad thing that no one seems to care that the things we made when we were a child in the 80s, those things are slowly rotting away on the discs and tapes and such. So we want to copy them or dump them before it's too late. And that's my ambition, to get as much as possible programs that people have made themselves at homes and such. Not only demoscene things, but only those things we call layers did with their computers at home. So I hear often that, no, I don't bring my disk to you because you already have all these things. No, we don't have all this. So we want to dump everything, even if it's there already. And you know, when you have a hardware but you don't have any software, you can do anything with the hardware. And we have seen systems that there are no emulators for, but we have disks to them. So we have a problem that we don't actually test what we dump always because we don't have the hardware and there's no emulators. So, and other way around, we might have a hardware but there's no software to run it. So it makes it kind of interesting. Also, it's fun. I mean, it sounds stupid because usually when we have a Kasettilamerit meeting, it takes 1 weekend. We go down to the cellar and sit there and dump data for the whole weekend. But it's kind of fun. It's very hard to explain why, but it is. And everyone on the team has their own ambitions and things they want to do. And we are quite loose in that way, that we don't push anyone to do what they don't want to do, so we try to keep us sane in that way.
And for example, we have people who code their own tools for decoding different formats. We have people who do scanning, are eager to learn new stuff. We have people organizing stuff and making new contacts, finding new material, that kind of things.
And what we want you to do, so we are asking here for help. And send your stuff to us and join our forces if you like to help. And don't throw anything away. Let us dump the data first and then throw them away. And if you have a broken discs or tapes that you can't read anymore, usually we can. We have the tools and we have the knowledge to read them quite often. And there's no such thing as this has already been done on the internet. Let us beat the chances. So often we might have some release which have these errors or something. Maybe we can find a working copy somewhere, such like that. So actually we don't care what we have. If someone brings us 100 discs, I don't even check what's in there. I just dump them and we check them later.
There's always the thing that things on the internet that already exist, someone might have taken from a pirate copy or read from a disc or tape, which or whatever way, and they don't necessarily match the data that was on the original media. There might be errors on it or bits missing and things like that, so we can verify what's on the tapes and discs to make sure that it's absolutely correct.
Also, there's known to exist different versions of the same game. So sometimes we might have a version 1, but there might be somewhere a version 1.2. So it's useful to dump those again and again to see if there's any differences. And how do we do this? So we have an own hardware, custom-built hardware to dump turbo tapes for C64, which makes it faster and more reliable. We use Screwflux for the disk systems, actually all kind of disks we can handle there. And DC2N for original tapes, at least for now. Maybe later we use our own hardware. And of course we use lots of coffee and tea. We don't usually use alcohol on the meetings because it makes the working quite difficult, so we stick with the non-alcoholic beverages while we do working. And the one thing I lack, and Tommy has a lot, is patience. I'm not patient enough to do many of our things, but Tommy is an expert in patience, so we are quite dynamic duo in that.
We have had a case of a quite rare C64 floppy game, and we have so far found only one copy of the game, and the disc was in really bad condition. You could actually see light shining through the tracks. And it took quite a bit of manual manipulation of the disk drive to read, so to speak, between the tracks, and about 2 to 3 hours to actually get every bit of data out of the game and get a working image out of it.
Also, some of you might heard about this promille game which was found in the woods. I mean, someone was found it from down a tree or whatever. Anyway, the disc found in the forest, and it was super rare, and it was broken beyond repair, and Tommy managed to read the disc anyway, so it was quite heroic act. And it took you something like 8 hours or?
No, 2 to 3 hours,
okay.
And a few weeks after that, the UKK Institute in Tampere reported that we have this game in our storage.
Yep. And what have we done? We already told you something, but we have done probably tens of thousands of scene releases and homebrew for the C64, but also other platforms, MSX, Spectrum, Sharp, whatever.
And mainframes.
Yep, mainframe software also. And also we have preserved thousands of original titles, and preserving means that we dump the disk with every byte on it, and actually every bit. And then we make a comparison to other copies and such that the disk is not modified in any way, and making sure that this is the dump is in the same shape that it came out of the factory. It's a quite time-consuming job, and I don't personally like that, so I don't do that. So. Then we have done ROMs, games, system, machinery, factory machinery and such, documents and papers, and we have a Finnish Museum of Games, and visit people with collections at their homes to dump things, and such things. Tommy, you know more, maybe.
About the ROM dumping, that's one part we sometimes have to do with unknown systems, because the ROM may contain the parts of the disk operating system to document how the machine actually reads and writes the disk, what kind of disk format it uses. If we don't have anything other than the ROM chip and a disk for the machine.
And it's not known, we have also the reverse engineered the ROM code for the unknown system, and that's kind of hardcore. But you can find quite interesting documents from the archive.org, so I guess it was TNT who was documenting loader to the system that didn't have emulator, so it's quite an interesting reverse engineering job. But we have done things like that. And bonus! What have we seen? We have seen things you don't believe, and blah blah blah. Don't do custom shaped floppies. Tommy can tell you more about that.
Yeah, I think it might have been Electric actually who had, for example, a copy of Outrun on a card-shaped floppy. And that's kind of interesting trying to read it on a disk drive. And someone had a trickery of making holes on the disk platter. That kind of makes dumping even more interesting, because you don't know if you are going to break your disk drive with these things.
And we have seen pre-release and unreleased games. Can you, Tommy, remember any examples?
Not sure if I can tell about some of the games, but for example, there have been found few versions of a game called Celloids for the Amiga that were never released by Apesoft before they went down, and that's now available for free download. Also, some Finnish-made MSX games and Spectravideo games have been dumped, and the original authors have been contacted, and they have given permission to release those games now for the public. Then the System Lock Media licensed disc is something also which we were contacted a museum in Germany. They had some teletype machine that they had very few discs to demonstrate the machine, and they couldn't figure out if they could even make a copy of the disc for use in public displays. And they sent us a disc to analyze, and it was really revealed that disc contained a hidden track that has a serial number the machine is looking. And we could replicate the disc, send them back, and then they confirmed that they finally have a copy of the disc they can use for public displays for the machine. And then we have seen, for example, instrumentation devices that could store information on the floppies. They also expect something similar from floppies, so the vendor could send you expensive discs so you can just manufacture your own for the purpose.
And of course, multi-platform discs, when you have a C64 and Atari version of the game in the same copy, and there was some others too.
Yeah, these were some kind of a mystery to people before, but nowadays with our tools we have seen that the trickery is quite simple. Even if there are 2 to 3 systems using the floppy, they only pretty much need one sector for boot the system, and that sector needs to be on the custom system, specific systems format, and that way you can just copy a couple of sectors for that system on a floppy, and those follow sectors for the other system, and each system is happy to see the disk as their own, and you can fit a small game in several versions on one disk. Easy to manufacture, but pretty difficult for anyone to copy.
And then we want more tuber tapes. I love turbo tapes. If you have them at home, please bring them to us and we will dump them. And of course, we want scene discs. And we don't care if you think they are already on the internet. I don't believe it. I guess Tommy doesn't believe it. So we want to dump them anyway.
And homebrew and Finnish games, for example, so we can dump them, get them preserved at the Finnish Games museums and places like that.
And if you are worried that there's something embarrassing on those discs, we don't spread them. But we like to help you to preserve them. So actually we want to do the job for free for you. So please bring us some more material to dump.
Of course, if you have a company who have some media archives and like those dumped, depending what kind of content is, we might be able to help for free, or we can actually give you some quota of what the job would require and how much it would cost.
And that was actually our last slide, but we are still working together with Software Preservation Society. Actually, Tommy is a member of SBS, and maybe you want to say some words about SBS, kind words.
Well, SPS, Software Preservation Society, aims to collect original games and software in a format that left from the factory where the user has not written anything or altered the disk in any way. And we are trying to look out and work with collectors who might have original media in storage, help them transfer those before they are rotting away. And of course there are some copyright issues with that, even in today's with 20, 30, 40 years old titles. And that reason, even if we get everything archived, the archives can't be open for general public. And there are some organizations are trying to pass some law, alterations to the copyright laws that would allow these original archives to be used for museums and maybe even individuals.
But it's against the law that we share them to do. I'm sorry, but that's the case.
Of course, when we do media, the owners of the originals always get the raw data for themselves, so we can stop them doing whatever they do. And when we are dumping scene material, that's mostly given away for free if the owner has decided to so.
So does anyone have any questions? Anything?
Do you have any database of the programs or games that
Okay, the question was, do we have any database? I wish we would have, but we don't have it yet. We have plans, but since we are doing this at own free time without pay, so things happen maybe too slowly. We would like to have one, but currently we don't have resources to make one. But it's coming sometimes, somewhere, I don't know when. Because it helps our old job to catalog things, what we have done and what not, and so on. So, if I remember correctly, last time I checked, I had something like 8,000 titles done from turbo tapes. And it would be quite nice to run some statistics over there. How many times we have Game Commando there, how many times we have Impossible Mission and such things, but currently we can't really do that, so we don't have any tools. And that sucks. Anything else? That.
If somebody in the library here would like to sponsor you with something else than just media, do you have any process or any recommendations how to approach you?
So there was a question how you can help us financially, and currently I think the Finnish laws prohibit us to collect money without giving anything back. I'm not sure about the legal status, but we are constantly looking for hardware to dump those things, so we naturally, if you have a disk drives, floppy drives or something like that, we might be interested or something like that. And if you want to help, you can always contact us we have contact information on our website where you can ask things.
And especially hardware for some more obscure formats, if you might have them rotting away in your cellar, don't throw them away before asking us.
Yeah.
Have you found the Holy Grail? Or are you still looking for it?
There was a question about have we found Holy Grail, and I sadly must admit we haven't found it yet, but I'm sure it's somewhere there. Anything else? Anything more?
Did you get anything useful from, was it like Ilmatieteen laitos or whatever the...
Yes, we dumped a disc from the Finnish, whatever it says in English.
Meteorological Institute.
And we got some old readings of some marine temperatures or something like that, and it was quite an easy job. We dumped them, and Ilmatieteen laitos was very happy to receive the data. And we were invited to make an excursion to the premises and see what they have there and talk about future things that we can do with them. So it was a success. Okay, someone helped us here that we can take your money. Or something like that. But if you think you can help us financially, don't help me.
To finance our...
Hey, don't laugh at us. Yeah. But if you think you have too much money, you can give it them to us. So what we are using the money, of course, to do this hobby. Sometimes we buy some games, we sell some rare games on eBay, but that costs a lot of money. And if the game is sealed, we have to open the seal to be able to dump them. And actually, we have been opening seals from pretty hard to find rare titles. I think many people here would cry if they would see when we do this, but we have to do that to preserve the data. Anything else? Okay, there was a shouting there that we should go to work, but no, we were asked to come here and talk, so we can't go yet.
So, currently you are more or less concentrated on the computer systems.
Yep.
What about, for example, game consoles?
Yes, we have done game consoles too. Tommy can tell you about the Nintendo Disk System maybe.
Yeah, we have done some test dumps about the Nintendo Famicom Disk System, and we have had some Sega Mega Drives prototype cartridges and things like that, so we can do them.
Also, we have been learning about how to dump optical disks, and that's not kind of easy task because everyone knows that you can put the disk in the drive and use dd jump command to read the data, but that's not dumping it, that's just reading it. So we have many open questions, and currently we are trying to concentrate on the ADs and magnetic media mainly. No more questions, no. Actually, we haven't done punch cards yet, but we are trying to find the punch card reader. And also this, what it's called, this long tape with the punch holes. Yep. So we don't have a hardware to do that, but unfortunately, usually the hardware reading those is big like a fridge or something, and no one has room for that kind of stuff. So let's see.
Can't you make one?
Yes, of course we could make one, but we don't have any tapes yet to dump, so. But I guess it's time to wrap it up. So if there's not any more questions. So that's what we do, our Kasettilamerit or tape-lamers or cassette-lamers, how do you want to say it. And we have been concentrating usually on the Finnish stuff, more in what circulates in Finland, but that's quite obvious when we are located in Finland. But if you are watching this abroad, we can take your disc or tapes or whatever. So there's an address, kasettilamerit.fi. Okay, maybe you can decipher that. But you know us, you can contact us, and let's see how it goes there. But okay, I think that was it. Thank you very much for listening, and let's hope we find the Holy Grail in the future. Thank you.